Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so thrilled to have back on the show award-winning songwriter, singer, entertainer, and also now a coffee mogul.
What?
James House.
All right.
Is in the house.
That hasn't been said before.
Never.
Never.
But the thing is, though, it's like, James, you and I have known each other so many years, and you came on the Rock and Review early on in the show when we were just starting this thing out. And it's like, okay, you've got all these hit songs, you've had placements with ridiculous artists, you know, started out in LA.
You're right.
Now you're a fixture in Nashville, and now you have House Brothers Coffee.
Yeah.
How did this come together, man? Because I'm a fan.
Well, first of all, coffee was part of our family. And you're songwriters, you know, coffee is part of our lives.
Right.
Guitar players. But my dad and uncles, I grew up on a ranch, and they got up every morning. We were, you know, little kids sleeping, and they were up already going, doing ranch business, drinking coffee, you know. And then, you know, 4 brothers, you know, there was always this like level of like, well, you don't know anything and you know everything. And then they would, you know, they sang. So they had a quartet and they would travel a lot. They were actual singing cowboys.
Yeah, and incredible voices.
Beautiful voices.
Obviously where you got some of your DNA talent from your dad and your uncles.
And the encouragement. And so they were on Arthur Godfrey's show. They did a lot of television shows and stuff. So they would work the ranch all week and then go play on weekends. My mom and aunts would run the ranch while they were gone. So anyway, so I woke up listening to them kibitz and talk, you know, about the ranch business and stuff, and the coffee was a big part. And when you were invited to the table when you were 13 or 14, it was like, wow, big deal.
Especially, you know, it's like you and I were talking before we came in studio. Same way with my family, you know, all Swedish coming out, you know, and the coffee was a big deal.
Yeah.
And so when you got to sit at the table with the adults and have coffee, and I think, you know, early on as a child, mine was like, you know, 90% milk and 10% coffee. Yeah. Because I wanted to be like Dad.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so cool that you're doing this as a family thing, though.
Yeah, so House Brothers, I've got my brother and I doing this, and then my 2 sons, the House Brothers, so it's like generations of House Brothers. But it's really a tribute to them. Yeah. I
love the picture.
My brother said, yeah, that picture that hangs in my house. So that was said on the wall, and I've been thinking about this for a while. I thought actually about doing some coffee shops and stuff.
Well, you and I talked about, too, on the West Coast, obviously, it was so big with Dutch Brothers.
Yes. And that was kind of where we were thinking about in the beginning, but I just would have had to, you know, put all my time into that. So this just ended up, we do it in the vintage cans, which you saw, and it's just a tribute to them. And it's starting to take off. We're selling them online a lot.
Well, I got to bring this up too,
to stores,
to where, you know, you sold out of the first run.
Yeah. So
That's a good problem.
It's okay.
And obviously, you know, with the vast amount of, you know, people that you've hired to can the beans and everything, and with the whole machine here, meaning you in your kitchen, to where you are now canning your own, you know, in between, you know, writing hit songs and all of the other great things you do, you're canning coffee.
Well, I needed a hobby. I mean, I've been breathing music since I was just really, really small. And it just is a nice thing. It's a nice distraction. So you have actually got the sealer, which is a hand sealer for the cans, because cans have to be sealed.
Right.
And we wanted to do vintage can, a can that would look cool in your kitchen. So
It
when
does.
the coffee was done. So it's like old, you know, vintage cans.
It reminds me of, once again, when I was little, and my grandparents would always have the old Folgers or Maxwell House cans. It's like going, it's just reminiscent.
Yeah, they always percolated back then.
Yeah, totally. They had 2 percolators going all the time.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's such a great coffee, though, the taste and the flavor. And I think it's so neat that you launched this as a family business and that it's exploding.
It is. It's doing well. We really took our time getting the coffee right, too.
Well, and you were telling me about that, to where you mixed the beans.
Yeah, we mixed from around the world. So there's a Brazilian combination, which has chocolate.
Right.
There's no flavor added. It's just the way the beans were grown. Brazilian has more chocolate, and then Papua New Guinea, we've added a little bit of that to it. So that's the bean, and we have them roasted here in Nashville. So there's a local roaster, and then I ordered the cans from another place. I designed it, and I had a friend of mine help me design the can. And
I think that. And how many different flavors of coffee?
Just the one right now. It's just with private reserve.
Okay.
So that's all we're doing right now.
But there might be others down the road.
Yeah. We're going to do more and more as we go along. Talking to different stores, Sprouts and what have you. Come on, Sprouts. Here you are.
Well, I was going to bring up also. You know, you and I were talking about the music.
Yes.
You know, that your dad and his brothers played as the House Brothers, to where, you know, you've got a spot on Spotify.
I do. I have their theme. I wrote some theme music. So it's not them singing. It's just the thing we put on behind when
until you get the tapes downloaded.
And I've got a lot of tapes of them singing, but it's all it's all quarter-inch. They're kind of stuck together, which you have to. People don't know this. Old tapes kind of stuck together.
Yeah, you got to bake them.
You have to bake them at 350 degrees, just like a chicken.
Thank goodness we've got some places here in Nashville that still do it.
Yeah, they still do it, yeah.
Because I need to take some
1979 studio, I think, does it.
Wow.
Right, so.
Well, I wanted to bring this up also. Besides, being a coffee mogul as you are now with House Brothers Coffee, also the LA tapes.
Yeah.
I was listening to this, the soundtrack and everything on Spotify, and you've had so many deep cuts on film, TV, obviously with a ridiculous amount of artists. But it was so fun listening to these tracks. And you said that a lot of your fans have been reaching out.
I've had this one song that was on a movie called Fire with Fire, and the song was called In It for Love, I think. And movies, you get a little bit. Right. So I had like a minute 20, and so over the years, we kind of get the whole record, and we looked and looked and looked and looked and looked and looked for it and couldn't find it. Finally tracked it down. Paramount was on the movie who did the movie. They have an archives division, and finally found that person. They went to the vault, which is one of those weird vaults out in Pennsylvania. Wow. So they tracked it down finally. So that's how we created the whole. So the retrospective has all my album from Atlantic Records.
Right.
Because I did a rock record with them, with Gary Katz producing, who produced all the Steely Dan stuff.
Yes.
So all those great musicians are on it. Rick Derringer's on it. Jeff Porcaro was playing drums.
And we were talking about Steve Lukather with the Toto Gang.
So all those soundtracks, I did every bad Charlie Sheen movie in the 80s. I'm singing in, and
those are memories now.
And then
the song you had the rock star look, James.
Oh, thanks. Man.
Yeah.
But I had what else is on there? Teen Wolf. I sang in Teen Wolf, and all these. So it was a lot of fun. So we found all those tracks and put them together on one record, and that's the retrospective.
They sound great.
It's called the LA tapes.
I enjoy it. I mean, I listened
to
the whole
thing. It was
thing.
actually cut on tape too.
But I mean, it's so much fun to listen to it, and growing up during that period, and you associate these songs with those movies.
Right.
It's like I can see them when I'm listening to it.
I'm amazed with the amount of fans out there for 80s rock too. So I get they're always reaching out, dude, how did you do that, dude? And I'm like, how old are you? Like, I'm 25, but I love 80s.
I know, but I mean, it's so much fun with the different musical textures and everything that you have, and obviously your voice still sounds great.
Thank you.
But I wanted to bring up in your spare time too, besides coffee and the LA tapes and everything else, you're also working with Zoe.
I work with an incredible artist named Zoe. She's just this close to, I think she's a future superstar. It's country music, it's country pop. She's what she does. She was born in Australia, but her and her family, all of them moved to. They're on the big walkabout. These folks, the whole family. Her two brothers, mom and dad, and Zoe. They all moved to the UK. So she could get her, but they've traveled here a couple of times. But they moved to the UK, and she started busking there and doing all that stuff there. She's been paying her dues, and we were able to get her over here. The whole family came over, and so she's here full time now. Wow. We're just talking to some labels now. She's been putting out a single every 6 weeks.
Well, it's so great of you working with her, particularly with your incredible background in music, James, and like I mentioned, with so many hits and awards and everything you've achieved, and constantly doing great music. I mean, like you said, early back in the day, you were doing like total rock, and then you really became known within the country world.
Well, I grew up on country.
Yeah.
So that was I didn't want to do what my dad did. So that's how that worked. And when I finally made the shift, I wrote a song called Hard Times for an Honest Man. Mm-hmm. After watching the CMA Awards in 1987, I literally sat down and wrote it that night, and it was about that whole changeover in my life. And I cut it, and my publisher, long story short, sent it to Tony Brown here in Nashville.
Right.
And he was running MCA. And I got a record deal, and I moved here, and I've been here for over 30 plus years.
I'll tell you, that's
changed my life.
That's a Cinderella story right there.
One song can change your life in this business if it's the right song.
That's the truth. Well, especially as great a songwriter as you are. I got to bring up also, though, James, and because you won't, so I will, your incredible charity work that you do with the vets, because you do so many different things, and I've kept up with you, since we first met years ago. But to where you do songwriting with vets and you work with paths. Talk a little bit about this for viewers.
Well, I work with an organization called Songwriting with Soldiers, and they hold retreats where they have vets and come in. Like we just did one in Tucson. Where was I? Actually, Texas. So there's that. They do retreats that are just one-on-one with vets. Yeah. So they bring in top-notch songwriters. Mark Nessler was there. Terry Radigan, Will Kimbrough. All these great songwriters come in and do this. So I'm just part of a team. Yeah. So and then we do something called Path, PATH is a program for PTSD vets, separate from songwriting with soldiers, but they use this. And this is a program for 7-8 vets. They go in for a week in these centers all around the country. Look it up. It's called Warrior Path, Boulder Crest Retreats. If you know somebody that's a vet that's PTSD and hurting, this is an amazing program. And they just bring us in to write one song with them. So we're just in and out for a couple of hours to write a song with group. But I do a couple a month, and it's an amazing deal to watch, to be able to use songwriting to help heal.
What a great way to give back to, especially for our soldiers, protecting us and,
And their families,
yeah.
their families are with them the whole way too. So it's not just the vet, their families are all involved.
And the music is such a healing thing. I think for all of us, I mean, for you and I, it's like for everybody, it's just always there for you.
Yeah, and this is direct. It's like not, I've always, music always heals, doesn't its best way. It always helps us define our emotions, let's say. But this is directly one-on-one. It's taking their words and putting it to music. And there's a lot of first responders too. The police and firemen are coming through too, because they put their lives on the line too. So all of this is oriented to just try and help these people heal. And it's a great work, and I'm passionate about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I think I'm also passionate about your coffee. And I can see why
I couldn't do it without this.
I see why you had to do the coffee, though. I mean, it's just logical, James, because as much as you travel and are on the go, and songwriting and doing this great work with vets and working with Zoe and everything, you need to be caffeinated.
I was up for about 20 hours getting back home. So I slept yesterday I can't remember when I went, but anyway, coffee's great. It's just a part of our tradition of our family too, and songwriters too. We and you too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and I think it's a great tribute to your dad and your uncles also, to having them on there, and that you're doing this. And I mean, it's a fun project for you.
My dad was John, and there was Uncle David, and then Uncle Roo. And then Uncle Tom. So that was the four of them, the House Brothers Quartet.
But it had to be, what a special moment to be sitting around the table with them, enjoying coffee, enjoying the family camaraderie. Yeah. And then,
I brought them on the road when I was out touring in the 90s. They stole the show. I had them come out and do the encore with me in one of the gigs up in Oregon. And they literally stole the show.
Is that amazing, though?
I mean, they still had it. They were good. They did this one bit, real quick, where they sang 4 separate songs in a row, 4 separate nursery rhymes, different songs, 4 different songs.
Okay.
And then would all sing all 4 different songs together at the same time in 4-part harmony. Wow. And people were just like, whoa. And as kids, we always call it the nursery rhyme song.
Yeah, so but I mean, what great memories.
It's great memory. It taught me a lot about harmony and stuff, and how to listen and how not to listen. So.
Yeah, well, it certainly paid off for you.
I still hear them in my head when I'm, lots of stuff. First of all, you got the dad and uncle stuff. Put your tools back where you got them.
Right.
That's the ranch stuff. And the other thing was when you rehearse the music, rehearse what you're going to sing. So don't mess around, do what you're going to do on stage. So all those great lessons.
Well, and I think that's proven for you in all of your award-winning songs, and just great songs. I always enjoy hearing you, and once again, you play around town also.
Do the Bluebird. I'll be at the Bluebird coming up soon.
Yeah, and the listening room and everything else. It's just always a joy to see you out there. even as many hits as you've had with so many artists, James, you still love it.
This is the best town in the world for songwriters. And they're my favorite people. They're all my friends.
Right.
So, there's nothing like, it's the great thing about songwriting is that it didn't exist, and now you've got a song. So it's just this instant, gratification too also.
Well, and considering where you've come from over the years, as a small child singing and performing and everything, and then like we were talking, out in LA when you and Todd Sharp had your band.
Toddy.
And doing, the rock and roll thing, and then you're like part of the fabric of Nashville now.
Well, it's funny, but I still feel like the kid from California.
No, I think you get the local card now.
Do I? Did I?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you've achieved it.
So it's so funny. I was just talking about it the other day. I still feel like the new kid.
You can't be the new kid after moving here since '87.
I know. My friends, Wendy Waldman and Josh Leo moved out here, and they had a hit with a nitty-gritty dirt band called Fishing in the Dark.
Oh, my gosh, what a hit.
They got on the phone and said, you got to move here. It was 87, late 87. And I was like, okay, I'll come look at it. And I fell in love. I was here 4 days and turned around and went back, got my stuff.
How incredible.
And I had a record deal at the same time. So.
Yeah, and you've had 4 record deals, and now you have your own publishing company.
Yes, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing run, and I still do it. And I get up, first thing I do is I just say I'm grateful. Thank you. To be able to do something I love and be able to pass it on through songwriting with soldiers, working with artists like Zoe and all that stuff. So that's what it's all about now. And I love my kids. So, and I have 12 chickens. That's another story. We're not going to go into it right now.
That'll be next time when you come on.
I got plenty of eggs.
Yeah, when you come on the show again. So that could be a whole other launch, right?
I'll bring them in.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you what, James, I want to make sure for our viewers that they know where to go and buy the coffee, because it will be in stores at a point, like Sprouts. And but where can they buy your coffee and get it shipped to their house?
So it's online at House Brothers Cowboycoffee.com.
Okay.
Or housebrotherscoffee.com. And we have a store, and that's where you store right there. So yeah, we're working on a couple of places. So, but other than that, you can get them. We've sold out, but we've just got a new stock in, so we're good.
And you'll talk to the guy that's canning the beans also to get more out quicker, right?
And I sign autographs in it, whatever you want. But yeah, and it's really good coffee, and the can looks cool.
It does. Well, and also speaking of cool, I want to make sure also for all things James House, with with the LA tapes, with all the music, with the great work that you're doing with veterans, for viewers to find you there, and also to come see you live.
Yeah, if you can get a chance. But I'm on Instagram, James House Music. I'm under jameshousemusic.com or James House Music everywhere. So yeah, come visit and be
And this should be the house coffee where everybody has at their house,
That's
right?
it. Absolutely. And Christmas is only 64 days away.
And it's a great gift, right? Well, James, it's so good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the coffee, House Brothers Coffee. Check it out. You're going to love it. Also, LA Tapes, great 80s rock. And working with Zoe and all the other
She's
amazing
at zoemusic.com or zoe.com, whatever you can find.
You're doing a lot of amazing stuff, James. It seems like there should be a book in there somewhere, but we'll talk on that next time.
Yeah, I'm coming back with that.
James House, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.